any news?
Yes.
Mary, yeah.
It's not exactly bird news, but there was something very exciting yesterday. We saw on Little Eye in Cley absolutely zillions of sea aster bees,
Wow.
which were identified by somebody who was a naturalist. And then we went on to see ivy bees on the ivy. Apparently sea aster bees are quite unusual because they need such specific environment. They have to have sea aster and they have to be near the brackish water and the, I don't know, in the marsh, the sea. And they all have little burrows. So all the queen bees have a little burrow each. And they come out to meet the males. Or something like that. Does anybody know about them?
Yeah, those of us that are familiar with the salt marsh know about them, yeah. But they are really specific to very few areas which get sea aster growing. And funnily enough, we used to have masses of sea aster in Kent on the salt marsh there. And the sea aster in Kent has blue petals, like the Michaelmas daisies that you get in the garden. The sea aster up here in Norfolk doesn't have any petals.
Yes, it does.
Not really.
Doesn't it?
Has a few.
Might have the old one or two, but basically it's petalless.
Really?
I never quite understand why that's so. But yeah.
Did you say petalless?
Petalless.
Oh, I've noticed recently there is a lot of it about, and I'm sure it's got petals.
Yeah, our sea aster in Salthouse has petals.
Yeah.
It's very like Michaelmas daisy you get in the garden.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it should be like.
Yeah.
But in Blakeney Harbour, generally speaking, they don't have petals on.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, sort of news. I mean, there's been quite a few rare birds around at the weekend, and at Warham Greens, just on the way to Wales, next to the sea, for several days has been a brown shrike, which is an Asiatic shrike. There aren't that many records in Britain. I think there's about 20 records in Britain, 25 records, something like that. So that drew a lot of people. I didn't go and see it. I have to say, I don't quite like going when there's crowds of people trying to see something these days. I'm getting too old, and I've seen them in China, so I'm not quite so worried. But there have been more pied flycatchers, and yellow-browed warblers are starting to come in and have been turning up in people's gardens. So keep your eyes open for yellow-browed warbler. Haven't had one in my garden. Not this year. I've had them in the past. And the
Chris, could you just describe a yellow-browed warbler for everyone?
It's about the size of a chiffchaff. It's sort of yellowy, greeny olive, about that colour. It's got two wing bars, two very prominent wing bars on the wing. So that distinguishes it quite easily from the others. And they are very active birds. They move around very quickly, feeding on insects that they get from the foliage and everything.
Yeah, so you might think, first of all, it's an ordinary chiffchaff, mightn't you? And then if you look more carefully, you can see the difference.
They're pretty obvious, actually, the wing bars. Yeah. And the other thing is they've quite often turn up with a flock of tits. So if you get a feeding flock of tits coming through the garden, that's really the time to look through all the tits and see whether you've got something like that moving with the tits.
There's one at Wolsey Hills today.
Sorry?
There's one at Wolsey Hills today.
Yes.
Chris and myself went down earlier this morning and there were several people looking, but it hadn't been sighted. But I did notice that I think about the 12, someone put up that the yellow-browed was back in Wolsey Hills up near the willows.
If you're younger, you can identify them by the call.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, and I had them. There were about 3 in Wiverton last year, Of course,
Yeah.
I haven't because I haven't been out.
They've become a lot more regular and common in recent years. They were very scarce in my younger days, but they're a lot more common in the autumn. You know?
Yeah.
And the other thing, this morning, I had my first flock of pink-footed geese on the day after my wife's birthday. I always think of hearing or seeing pink-footed geese on my wife's birthday, which is the 16th of September. So on the 17th of September, I was having breakfast outside and a flock of about 35 pink feet flew over. And this morning I looked out of the bedroom window and had several blackbirds on the lawn, which were obviously immigrant blackbirds because they got black bills. We'll talk about that later. But, and a redwing.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's good.
Really? Gosh.
So they'd obviously arrived in that rain that came across.
Wow.
So that's my news.
If you want, if you want, I can share a picture of what Mary was talking. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, do. I was just going to say I'll do Redwing and Field Fair next time. But yes, sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry. About that.
If you'd like, I can share a picture I took of a bee that which is what Mary was talking about, the sea aster bees, which I took at Thornham. It was on a very small bank about this high, grass covered, but it's very close to the maximum sea level that they were nesting. Mm-hmm. So anything more than a sort of maximum, like a spring tide or whatever, would drown them all out. But if I share the screen, I can, which is somewhere, where are we? Share screen. That one. Share, see if you can see it.
That's good, isn't it? Oh, gosh.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Did see it momentarily.
See if I can move. That's better. I can move the thing out of the way. But there was probably about 20, 30 of them. You're not seeing it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you for that, Vin.
And the ivy mining bee is fairly similar in terms of the look, the very stripy look of the body. But obviously it appears in different. Well, it appears inland. It appears in my village as well, in a sandy bank. So anywhere that there is a sort of sandy thing that is easy to dig into, and is relatively won't collapse immediately, is what they go for. The other interesting thing about this bee was that there were flies that were following the bees around and looking for where they were nesting, and I think the flies go in and lay an egg onto the young inside to develop later, using the bees as a host, as it were, as a parasitic fly. I can't remember offhand what the name of it is. Anyway,
do they have a sting? Do they have a sting?
I didn't try.
Why I ask that is I play golf and we've seen some bees recently. I thought they begin with the letter M, but we see them in the bunkers, and we've also got some in our front garden where it's sandy. Yeah. They come at this time of year.
I think they're not particularly aggressive. You could see the photograph. I was looking at them from fairly close up. I don't have a great big lens like Ron, and I've only got a little one.
We've been out along. I was just going to say, we've been out along the Morstan Path in summer. If you swing round towards the sea, go out on the boardwalks at Morstan, then turn left, and they were so thick on the ground nesting there that you sort of felt you didn't either not tread on them or disturb them or get stung. But in fact, they weren't aggressive if you were fairly careful how you walked.
I can give that photo to Jacqueline to share if you like.
Thank you.
That would be yes, please.
You get
mind you,
you get quite a lot of mining bees and even wasps that bury in. I was photographing back in the summer at Morston the wolf bee, bee wolf, I think it is. It's not actually a bee, it's a wasp, and it catches bees and it carries them into a tunnel in the sand, where it then lays its eggs on them. And they tend to be mining bees that they catch.
No fun being an insect.
Sorry?
It's no fun being an insect.
No, not at all.
While we're on insects, do you want me just to mention about ticks on birds and in gardens at the moment?
Oh, right.
We looked earlier in the season, didn't we, about the avian pox and bird feeders and the importance of keeping those clean. When in fact, I mean, the sort of the folklore is, or common knowledge is that you only really get ticks or dangerous for ticks is in woodland and heathland and so on, Thetford Forest. But in fact, my wife got a tick on her arm yesterday, discovered it this morning. Absolutely tiny, but 1 millimeter big, and no signs of anything happening from that. And we're used to them from when we lived in Ireland. But nowadays, of course, with Lyme disease being much more prevalent, one's always needs to be on the lookout. But I think it's interesting, isn't it, that you probably do need to look out for your gardening. She hasn't been out of the house for a week, probably, or out from the garden. But with muntjac around, I imagine deer may well be the carrier, the host for that. But on better news, Merlin, I saw one yesterday, a Merlin, on Blakeney Point, and spoke to Ryan. What's his second name? The warden. He's the only National Trust warden out there at the moment, and he just reported on the success rate of the terns. I know we've talked about those as well this year, but there were 1,000 young sandwich terns eventually, and over 150 common terns and little terns successfully fledged. So I think there's an article coming in some of the bird journals in the near future about that. But as I say, he's the only warden out there at the moment, and he won't be staying there for very long. But it was good to come across him. And we saw a very nice male hen harrier. So there are 1 or 2 of those around at the moment. So keep your eyes open, as opposed to marsh harrier, which is the common local easy one to identify. Marsh harrier, as you probably all know, thinner wings, more elegant, buoyant flight. And this was a male, so it's grey on the back. Some of them have the browner versions. The females and immatures have a white rump, often known as ringtails. So there is stuff around, as Chris said.
Can I say something? Can I just add something about ticks? There's a second disease apparently that has been recognised in this country associated with ticks, which is also not good. And the other thing is, if you get one, don't use perfume on it like the old wives' tale. You want to get you can buy them online, and I think in chemists now, there's sort of like a hooky thing, and you put it around their body and then turn clockwise or anti-clockwise, and that way they come out complete, rather than leaving the head inside to get infected.
Yeah. Use one on the dog.
I've got a photograph of this one. 1 millimeter, and as Stephanie, being an ex-nurse and living on Cape Clear Island, where they're actually infested with, the rabbits are infested with them, and sharp fingernails, if you get them 2 fingernails right underneath the body, press in hard, and then yank out. It's almost as it's as effective as the tool, but by all means recommend, get the tool if you can.
Well, the reason for the tool is that if you stress the tick, it releases what it has into you before it comes out.
Yeah.
So the tool doesn't stress it enough for it to release any nasties into you.
Toxins, yeah. Good point.
Nice. Well, and I'm dying to tell you my news. Nothing to do with ticks. But in France, I had 2 ospreys fly over the house.
Oh. Really?
Very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Really low, quite low actually, and quite determined. And I had a lovely view of them. So I've got to tell you that. It was rather, I've never seen them before there, and because I don't think I've been there at that time. But yeah, so I was quite chuffed with that.
Did you get a picture?
No, I didn't have. No, I didn't.
Fine.
I just managed to run in and get my binoculars, but that was about it. But
Don't they need water?
Sorry.
Don't they need water?
Is that Merle? Yeah, but they're migrating and they go. You know. And,
all right.
Anyone know? They follow and they go and see. They find rivers and things, don't they?
Yeah.
I've seen them in Morocco or seen one in Morocco years ago on spring migration in the late afternoon, and we were miles away from the coast. It was just desert and odd telegraph poles and things, and it just sort of landed on the telegraph pole to roost for the night.
Yeah, exactly. But that's they do. That's their food. They fish. Yeah. But of course, near there, you've got. I'm quite close to some large rivers, and I'm close to the sea as well. So, you know, I suppose it's not. I mean, it's that's what they're feeding on.
Do they only eat fish then? They wouldn't eat carrion or anything like that.
I don't know. Does anyone else
I think
know?
they're purely fish. I think.
I think they're pretty solidly fish.
Chris, what's the French name for them? It's pêcheur, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you know, Chris? Chris from Holt?
I remember offhand, and you've got my French bird book.
I know, I've got your book. That's why I know.
Give it back! That's why I can't look it up.
Okay.
Sorry, you've disappeared for some. There we are. That's better. You've disappeared.
It's Oiseau Balbouzard Pêcheur.
Thank you. There we are. Thank you, Mary. And beautifully pronounced as well. Anyway, moving on from news. It always takes us ages to do news, doesn't it? Vince is very kindly going to talk a little bit about bird. It's topography, isn't it? Is that how you pronounce the word?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was just sort of aware. I was thinking about this last week or the week before. And I suddenly thought I've got to stop saying, you know, that bird with the stripe on its head. I think we've all got to start to learn the correct terms. And I'm absolutely terrible. I can never remember the terms. So I thought I will ask Vince to do something about bird topography. So there we are.
Yeah, well, I've learned a few things as well. So you want it now?
Yeah, go on. I want it. Yeah.
All right.
You want it now?
I shall rephrase it. I'll rephrase that.
Yes, thank you. Yes, looking forward to it.
Okay, where are we? Yeah, this one.
This is when you're going to need your pen and paper.
Right.
Screen share.
Pen and paper, you'll take notes.
Oh, we've got that one all right, Rog. Oh,
Yeah.
Right. So if we've got the base a basic bird, obviously these are just some of the parts of a bird. You can go into a lot more detail than that, but at this stage, I don't think we need to. So if you write down just going around A, B, all the way around to X, missing out I and O, which could be confused with 1 or 0. If you just write down what you think each part is called.
Oh, I see.
Supercilium. Where's the supercilium?
This is me giving it.
Supercilium.
Sorry, Vince. Carry on.
We can hear you. Somebody's telling us the answers.
Okay. Can we mute everybody?
If you yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can mute all, and then I can unmute if you want.
That's fine. I will mute. Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay, Vince.
If we go around in order, there's 2 parts to this, and there's a little fun quiz at the end as well. for this page and the next page, there's a prize, but I'm not going to tell you how you get that prize at this stage. So you'll have to just sort of try and do as well as you can. If you go around and put as many names to the letters of the alphabet as you can, and we'll do the next page as well, which is about flight feathers, and which is much shorter than this one. And then we'll go through the answers, and if you are super honest and mark your own stuff, and then we'll take down the scores. Everyone can take part, whatever level of expertise. This is Rachel getting me to do a talk and me getting you to do all the work. So we've got Rachel.
Vince, I think you ought to just give us some timings on this.
Yeah, I should give, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes should be enough. If just literally, it's not. Don't agonise about each letter in for a long time. Just go down and roughly just think what is it?
Leg, wing, stuff like that.
Possibly slightly more technical than that. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got 16 people, haven't we? I think. So another couple of minutes on this page.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know you were going to make this so difficult for us. I won't ask you again.
That's the idea.
Oh no.
No, we're just kidding.
I'm sucking my thumb.
Yes.
It's back to basics. Well, I just thought, we're all talking about birds like mad, and there's some basic terms that are used by most bird watchers to describe what they've seen and which bit of a bird has got a particular colour. And I'm not sure that all of us actually know what all the various parts are that could be, you know, we aren't all speaking the common bird language.
Exactly. That was exactly my thoughts.
Well, nice to know we're in agreement.
I can never remember them. That's my trouble. It's just one in one ear and out the other.
It's really about using it, you know, it's using the terms rather than going for the easy option.
And so quite obviously we'll have to have a revision test, you know, in a few months' time.
Right. Is everybody about ready? I can't see the full screen. I don't know if Jacqueline can.
Yeah.
Does it look like everyone's sitting around?
I think, yeah, or they've given up and left the room
in disgust.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all look ready. Yeah.
Everybody about ready?
Yeah.
Come on, Edward, you can't be that far behind.
Oh dear.
Right. Okay. Well, if you want to carry on filling in those, I'll give you a bit more time on the next one as well. So the second page is this one. Oops. Right. So you got numbers 1 to 6. So that's somewhat simpler. So if you can write numbers 1 to 6 down and then put what you think the various parts are called. Obviously not just wing.
Oh.
Well, you can if you want to.
Wing tip. Oh dear. I should have done some revision, I think.
No, it's the whole idea is to find out where you are. This is not meant to highlight who knows absolutely nothing about these. It's really just to sort of do what Rachel said, is to just get us more used to looking at things in slightly more detail than just, oh, that's this or that. Some birds which are very similar, you can say, oh, well, it's probably a bunting or whatever just on jizz, but it's you need a bit more information to sort of be sure about it, especially on birds that only turn up occasionally. I mean, I find I have to revise bird song every year virtually, just to get the bird and the song, associated song in my head. But then, like, that's been a lot of brain activity. Okay, I think that'll do for the moment. Right, if you mark yourselves, and we'll go to the answers. So, right, we go up a bit more, make this a bit bigger. Hope you can all see that. So if you start on A, which is crown, and work your way around clockwise.
Oh. Right.
So that's what all the various parts of the bird are called. And if you just sort of go through tick, cross, whatever, and add up your score at the end of that page.
Could you call them out? It'd be much quicker.
Yeah. Okay. A is crown. B is law. C is nostril. You've got the upper mandible, the lower mandible, and they are the parts of the bill rather than, I mean, beak tends to be a term that's frowned on in the birding world. Then you've got the Malar stripe.
I've never heard of that one before.
Well, I hadn't either.
Sometimes called mustachio stripe, I think.
You're right.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Right, and then we've got
like in a peregrine.
yeah, and then we've got sorry. Then we
so
got
a peregrine has a moustache. Would that be called a Malar stripe?
I think so, yes.
Or a bearded tit? Would that be?
I'd have to have a look at that one.
Oh, we're not making this awkward for you, are we? Are we?
Malar stripe. I mean, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to be using that in a hurry.
I haven't spelled it correctly.
Do carry on, Miss.
Oh, yes, as a C.
So G ought to be the breast.
Right.
Then you've got the two coverts, the median covert
G.
and the greater covert. And then you've got flank, which is basically just side of a bird, and then belly.
The primaries, didn't we?
What letters are these?
Hang on, we'll go back again.
Sorry.
B. Oh, B for breast.
Difficult to re-look at them.
Yeah, so L is the belly.
We've got 5.
Have you got that right?
Yeah.
Would have thought of that, but I thought
M is tarsus.
I ought to know tarsus of methods.
Could we mute Ross's iPad so that other people can hear?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I quite like hearing it actually.
Okay. Where were we? We've got to N, which is N is the primary under primary coverts, and then you've got P, which is the undertail coverts. Then you've got tail, which is a standard term, and then you're looking at the flight feathers. So you've got the primaries, followed by the secondaries and tertials.
Oh, the tertials.
Or something similar. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly that. It could be tertial flight feathers or whatever however you want to put it. Mantle is the bit that covers them up, which is sort of like on the back of the bird. This is a field fair, which we'll be seeing in short order. Then you've got the ear coverts, which are, as they suggest, the feathers that cover over the ear. Eye stripe, Rachel's favourite, is the stripe that actually goes through the eye rather than over it. And then the supercilium is the one that goes over it. Okay, everyone with me so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just ask then? Can I just ask? So, say a ringtail, a female or a young hen harrier, and the white rump. What's that called?
Upper tail.
Well, it depends if it's part of. I think it's part of the tail feathers, but I'm not absolutely sure. I've seen a rough-legged buzzard which has a ring as well, and from a distance, I think it'd be hard to be precise about it. But obviously, if you could see up much closer, I think it's probably part of the tail feather rather than the.
If I might interrupt, I think it's the upper tail coverts.
Right. Okay.
Right. So you wouldn't say rump.
No. Well, it is the rump. Yeah.
Oh.
It is the rump. The white on the tail of the rough-legged buzzard is actually the bottom of the actual tail feathers.
Right.
But on the hen harrier, it's the actual coverts on the body.
The original field guide, which took Britain by storm in the 50s, says white rump patch. So,
yeah.
Yes, I think I should have rump. Definitely.
I mean, can I just ask? I don't know whether you can hear me. Can you? Can you?
Yes. Yes.
I was going to ask, where is the rump? Because I mean that is a term you often hear. And on this picture, is it
Here we are.
under the primaries?
Here you are.
It's that grey area.
Yeah, yeah, under the
covering the tail.
Can you see it here?
yeah, where your arrow, where your cursor is. Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if anybody's had a peacock in their garden at all, but we had one for a couple of years who just decided to live with us, and it was quite interesting. It was a male peacock, and at the beginning of the year, its back feathers started growing, so that what became what we think of as a peacock's tail with a fan and everything actually stems from feathers that are as short as these ones on the back of the bird, and they just extend and extend and extend, which is quite interesting to see it actually happening before your eyes almost. Okay, if we go on to the next one, which is, whoops, going too far here. Right, we had one was the one nearest the bird, nearest that, which is, you could call it the armpit of the bird. It's the axillaries. And then you've got, going around 2 is carpal patch, which is basically, I suppose you could almost call it not a shoulder, a sort of elbow. Then you've got the underwing coverts, like you just had on the top of the wing. You had the other coverts, and then you've got the main flight feathers. You've got the primaries, secondaries, and tertiaries. I think not all birds have the tertiaries, and some of them have extended secondaries. Chris maybe can help on that one.
Pass.
Oh, finally got him
I
on
hadn't
something.
heard that.
The man who knows everything. Okay, so if you can mark yourselves, and we'll unshare for a minute. Where are we?
And just don't get too despondent. Don't worry.
No, don't worry. Don't worry about it all.
This is a bit of fun, trying to stop me saying the wrong thing about the birds.
Right. So if we run through.
On the first diagram, Vince, you talked on P, letter P. You said it was an undertail. Is it correct? We call it a vent.
Yeah, I was going to say this.
Yeah.
I put vents.
Because we have the yellow vented bulbul, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the yellow only appears there.
Yeah.
All right.
You got him now. You got him now. He's stuck.
I put down vent actually.
I put down.
I put down vent too.
So did I.
Well, I don't believe you. You're lying.
But it's the same actually. It's the same. I mean, it's under
I
tail
think
cover as
it
well
should
as
be
the
this.
vent.
I think it's just another name for the vent.
Yeah.
I think vent is better because we all know what it is.
Okay, everybody. If you
it's-
put down vent, you can give yourself a point.
The language is attempting to bring together all sorts of sources, scientific, man in the street, and all the rest of it. So there will be sort of room for variation, and most people will know what you're talking about, even if you do say bill or beak or whatever. So if we run down who's got what, and how many have you got, Rachel?
Me? Oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, that's not fair. I got 11 on the first one.
Did you?
Total score.
Oh, 11, 12, 13.
Right, okay. And Roz's iPad.
Got 5.
Right.
Sorry. And the second one 2, with
Okay,
help from
so-
Roy.
So you've got 5 and 7.
So 7.
Yeah, if you
Room
just
for
give me,
improvement.
if you just give me the combined scores. Merlin and possibly Mary.
And Mary's no help at all. I got five in the first and nothing in the second.
Right. Dawn, wherever she is. Dawn, you need to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, Dawn.
We can't hear you, Ron.
There you go.
I'm here.
Yeah.
7 in total.
Okay. Ron,
Right, we didn't do too badly, Rog.
11.
how many?
11.
Oh, oh, not
Tut, tut.
Philippa? Oh, is she gone? Oh, no, she hasn't.
She's ashamed.
4
We've got
in total.
Too ashamed to say anything.
In total.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Okay.
We've got nothing to be afraid about.
Yes,
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Who have we got?
All the Toms.
We got Tom. Yeah, Tom Harrison.
My pen ran out.
Yeah.
But I did know elbow.
Good answer.
How many did you get?
5,
Okay.
including elbow.
Edward.
I don't think
17.
elbow's allowed, is it?
How many?
17.
Oh.
17. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the
Well
class.
done, Edward.
He's the winner.
Diana.
What?
I'm going to say 5,
Okay.
using words like back and elbow and
Legs and
belly.
eye. And
Oh,
teeth.
I can in that case.
we got
And Chris, where he is? It's Chris. We
Yeah, Chris is there.
You mean me?
I've got
Well,
Chris.
doesn't he?
One.
We've got
Oh, yeah,
two
Chris.
Chris.
Chris H.
All right, I got 7.
And the other Chris.
I'm sorry to say I got 22.
Oh, really?
Wow. You cheated.
Uh,
Well done.
Sarah. Sarah.
Oh, I don't really know because my piece of paper wasn't big enough, in fact.
Oh, come on. You don't have to
Pick a number and double it.
She had such a big score she couldn't put it on the paper.
She did, I bet. I bet she did.
I think it's about 10, I'd say.
How many?
Oh, well done.
10. I'll say 10.
Well done.
Tom Green.
Well, 60 years ago as a ringer, I knew them all.
But now?
But now 10.
Oh, another good
What you were going to say,
score.
60?
10.
I'm
10
not sure.
honesty.
I'm not sure whether to conclude Amelia and Jacqueline in this or not.
No, I don't think.
Yeah.
There's Ron. You haven't included Ron, have you, Vince?
Yeah.
Yes, wrong, sir.
He had a
Oh,
little,
yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, I've got 42.
Oh.
Right. Well, in that case, going by my strange logic, which is explainable, Philippa, who got 4, is actually the winner.
Hey, really good.
So, if you like to give me your, or if you send your address to Rachel, I shall send you one of these, which is Birds of Lowland Britain.
Wow.
Wow,
Well, that's
lovely.
nice.
Fantastic. I'm overwhelmed.
Well done,
Yeah.
Philippa.
Yeah.
Well done.
God, if only,
Well done.
if only like the rest of life was like this. It's fine. Thank you.
Do you want
Brilliant.
our
That's really
own
good.
scores now? If you want
Sorry?
our own score, that was about 2.
Honesty has been rewarded.
Yeah, well
That's
done.
right.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well
Well
done.
done. Well done, everyone.
Do you want me to do a little fun bit as well, or no?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that bit was fun. Oh.
Yeah.
Wait till lockdown.
Okay. Well, I share the screen again, and we'll just talk through them this time. You don't have to. There's no prizes for this one at all. Where are we?
Are you sure?
Do we need to?
Right, we'll go back. Right. Now we got some just examples of bills. Just what do you think this one is?
A long one.
Long.
Curlew.
Come on.
Curved.
Yes. So what might it be?
A bird.
Curved.
What bird you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay.
That's
Curlew.
wader, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's curlew.
Yes. This one, Mary should be able to help with this one.
Mary's not here.
Parrot.
It's a clue, Merlin.
Oh, I see. It's a Merlin.
It's a clue. Oh.
Merlin.
Merlin.
This
Right.
one should be reasonably
Crossbill.
obvious.
Crossbill.
Crossbill.
Yeah, say what you see.
Crossbill.
Okay. And then the one next to it.
Pelican.
Puffin.
Looks like a
Puffin.
puffin. Puffin.
Yes.
Puffin, yes.
Oh.
They actually lose this coloured bit when they don't need to show it off for breeding.
Woodpecker.
Green woodpecker.
Yeah, well done. Was that Philippa? Was that?
No.
Was that, who said
No,
that?
me. Dawn.
Dawn. Oh, brilliant. Well done. What type? What
Green
sort?
woodpecker. Green woodpecker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good. Yeah.
This one.
Nightjar.
Follow.
Nightjar.
Is it just
Nightjar.
Nice.
The swift.
Swift?
Yes.
Oh,
Swift, yeah.
Tom, you've got to be quiet.
Right, sorry, I was.
No, I'm only teasing.
But we're on mute. We're on mute, so the perhaps wouldn't.
And this last one here.
It's either a duck or a swan.
I did that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ida.
If we go down to the other end of the birds, then we get this lot.
Tails.
Oh, oh wow.
Feet.
Oh.
Oh, that red job.
Some of them are the same as the bills. So
Curlew.
yeah, curlew is this one, and then this one.
Osprey?
No.
Is it
Merlin.
Is it Merlin?
It is a Merlin, yes. And then this one.
Crossbill.
Yes. Down here.
Parachute.
It's a web, it's a water bird, isn't it?
Well, perhaps
Is
that's
that
the
puffin?
Who said that?
Who said what?
Puffin.
Oh,
Di- Diana.
well done.
And then this one.
Gosh. I didn't realise that, did you?
It's unusual. It's got backward facing claws as well as forward claws.
Yeah.
So it's clicks onto something.
Woodpecker.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And this is the other half of one of the other ones we've already seen. So it says perching is impossible.
Oh, it's a switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those claws, I can tell you from experience, are very, very sharp.
And then this one.
The Ida.
That's the Ida. Yep. Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, very good.
Didn't know that. That was very good, Vince. Really good.
That's it from me.
That's very, very
Yeah,
good.
well done. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Have to do some homework, Roger.
Yes, we'll all have to do some homework.
I have to try and remember.
And I think we'll have to do some revision.
If you send your address to Rachel, I'll send you the disc.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I have to say, like Tom, I used to ring birds, and I'm afraid that because when you're a ringer, you have to know the names of all those bits of the plumage and whatever. When you're filling in the records of what you're doing, if you're doing molt or something like that, so it became second nature, really.
It's a lot more complicated than that. If you have to be a ringer, I mean, you've got to know what the name of every single feather,
More or less, yeah.
and the position on the wing as well. So it's
Yeah.
and you've got to know all the different molt stages that the bird goes through.
They have some quite good books, tell you.
But you like you just demonstrated, you won't remember it if you're not using it constantly.
No.
You can't just learn it out of a book.
Mm.
No, well, thank you very much for that, Vince. That was very enjoyable, and we'll do what we call in the teaching terms the spiral curriculum, where I think we'll come back to it to refresh and remind us of what's going on.
It's brilliant. I've never thought of actually learning my way through them, so very grateful to be challenged to do that.
It is very useful. It is very useful to know them, because when you're describing birds, most oftenly you will use those terms because you'll find that it's just a little difference. So you have to know where the difference is.
Yes, exactly.
The bit on the wing.
Can I tell you a funny story? Well, not a funny, but a story about ringing. A group of us used to go out and ring wading birds in the middle of the night. And it was because of the tide coming in, you put up the nets and catch the birds as they come into roost. And we were on the Isle of Sheppey one night. We had permission from the farmer to use this bit of field we were using right down by the swale. And it was pitch black. We got the nets up and we're waiting for the birds to come in. And suddenly we heard this disturbance behind us and twangs on the barbed wire fence and some curses. And eventually one of our chaps went over to see what was going on, and it was a police officer. And he said, "Oh, what are you doing out there?" And we said, we're catching birds at night, bird ringing. Explained exactly what we were doing. And it turned out that the chap who lived in the pub that overlooked that bit of marsh had suddenly become a voluntary Coast Guard. And he'd seen our torchlight out there. He knew damn well we used to go out there. He'd seen our torchlight out there and phoned the police up. And would you believe they brought a police car all the way from the M2, if you happen to know where the Isle of Sheppey is. It's quite a long way. They brought this police car over, and when they sort of basically looked out and said, well, we're not going to do anything until we get the dogs here. And so they had to wait for the dog handlers. But meanwhile, they closed off completely the access road we'd come down. They told all the residents in the area to turn their lights off. So yes, well, we didn't get into trouble, but the voluntary Coast Guard did.
Good.
Chris, did you ever know my father? Used to do a lot of ringing at one point. Geoffrey Matthews from Slimbridge.
No, I know the name. Yes, I know the name, but no. We did actually have the Wash Wader group out during the day a couple of times with their cannon nets to catch birds, and we caught 1,000. We caught 1,000 knot in one go on one day.
Wow.
Did you ring them all?
Yes, yes. Well, I didn't ring them. As a team, we ring them all. Yes, and got recoveries down the west coast of Africa.
Wow. Wow, isn't that amazing? Well, I'm very aware of the time. It's now 5:30.
Yeah.
And Ron and I had got another little presentation for you, and also Chris was going to talk about a little bit about subsong. But I think if it's all right with everyone, because I think that's just going to take too long, we'll postpone it until the next following 2 weeks, if that's all right with everybody.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Otherwise, I think you'll be here until about 7 o'clock.
Can I just say one thing, Rachel?
Yes, do, Ron.
But Chris and myself went out this morning and had a little wander, and we were very lucky. We saw peregrine, hobby, sparrowhawk, kestrel and buzzard. But we wandered down the east bank and there was 80, probably more, but 80, at least 80 ring plover on the beach.
Oh, gosh.
I've never never seen that many ring plover. We haven't, Chris, did we?
No.
We were really surprised to see there was 80 ring plover down there.
And I would guess they were Scandinavian ones, or ones from further north.
Yeah, they
did. Just come down.
Some of them were wearing skis, I must admit.
And the other thing I thought next week, or not next week, the following week, that we would talk about, Chris from Blakeney, is we would talk about the migrant blackbirds. And I'd also I thought I'd look at the redwing and the fieldfare, so that when you see them, you can easily recognise them. Is that a good idea?
And their parts.
And their oh no, yeah, and exactly. Oh, yeah, you're putting me on the spot now.
There are lots
I'll
of robin in. Sorry, Vince.
So I'll send that to. I'll send the pictures to Jacqueline so that you can distribute them if you want.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
There are a lot of robin at the moment as well. We spotted lots of robin, so I suppose they've come over from Europe as well.
Oh yeah,
as well.
They tend to turn up with blackbirds and thrushes. Yeah.
The other spot of the morning was the smallest newt I have ever seen on the Ron managed to find. There's a newt literally about less than an inch long, I should think. I've never seen a newt on the East Bank before. There are lots of frogs and toads around since we got extremely wet. But the newt was a completely new one on me.
I've got a photograph of the newt, so I'll put that up for next meeting and perhaps we can have a look at it.
And we couldn't decide which sort of newt it was.
No, it was a bit very tiny, orangey colour.
Lovely. Okay, I've made a note of that. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you to Vince for providing a lot of entertainment and hard work. And we will come back to that, I think.
Does that get me out of doing more?
No,
Well done.
no. Okay. All right. Bye bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.